Welcome back to In the Zone. I'm your host, Theo Vela. With March Madness coming to a close, the Frozen Four set, baseball season kicking off, and new NFL trades, and so much more. There's a lot to talk about. In the Zone starts right now. Joining me on desk this week is Toporcer and Ashton. Since our last show, we've missed out on a lot of basketball. The Arkansas Razorbacks' Cinderella run collapsed in the second half to lose in overtime in the Sweet 16 to the Texas Tech Red Raiders, including the Vanderbilt Boilermakers falling victim of the last-second layup and the Ole Miss Rebels unable to keep up with the number 2 seeded Spartans. Ashton, what did you make of these Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games so far?
I feel like they went pretty well. Honestly, because I'm a Michigan State fan. They made it to the Sweet 16, for that I was pretty hyped that they made it. I don't know why Zach said that they suck, but they made it to the Sweet 16. But I could say they gotta do something because they didn't make it to the championship. Duke has been looking like an underdog right now. They're a really good team.
Duke as an underdog. This is the first time I've ever heard that statement before.
Yeah, I don't like Duke, but I'm not a Penn State fan. I'm happy that Penn State's not, Dale. So,
obviously, yeah. I mean, great games all around so far in these in the Elite 8 and the Sweet 16. You know, it's obviously for you, Bailey, too. Like, there's not a lot of upsets. There's not a lot of teams that are really stood out, and it's just it's really those top 4 teams and the number 1 seeds going to the Final Four. Like, that's so crazy, and I mean, like, it's coming up soon. It's going to be like the first time since 2008 that this happened, but so many it just seems like they're the best teams. All the number 1 seeds are the best teams, and they came to compete and they came to win. Yeah. What do you think about that, Bailey?
Well, whenever I hear Ashton say that Duke's an underdog, I can't say I agree. I personally have Duke winning it all in the end. Actually, that's my opinion on the bracket. But I mean, I think that because of the whole NIL deals and things going around, they're able to stack these really, really great teams, and I really think that has led to a lot of what we're kind of talking about, where there's not a lot of upsets. I mean, we did have a few upsets. We had McNeese with Clemson. That was not one that I saw happening personally, but we're not getting as many as we used to. And I definitely think that has just recently changed the dynamic and the way that March Madness is kind of looking, especially with just men's college basketball, especially in that route, just seeing that because we're able to stack these top teams, we're seeing less upsets over time. Yeah,
I agree too. It's sort of now, since these NIL deals are coming in, more teams are starting to pay more players. It's become, I wouldn't say it's an epidemic, but it's slowly going to become a problem. Whatever team is going to pay the most money to play in college basketball is going to build the most elite roster. You could pay all these money to all these best recruits in the nation to come to all these top schools, and no matter what, it's always going to be who pays the most. Whoever is going to pay that hefty bargain is going to win.
Agreed.
But honestly, it's crazy because the first time since 2008 that all 4 number 1 seeds in the men's tournament have reached the Final Four. So as these teams turn their focus toward the Alamo City and San Antonio, many fans have voiced their opinion by calling this tournament boring. Despite having the best 4 teams in each region on the bracket, many blame, like I said, the NIL to be the reason for the lack of upsets. Bailey, I mean, do you really believe that this tournament has been a letdown? And honestly, in my opinion, it hasn't. It's the best teams are now going to the Final Four, and they deserve those 4 spots.
I mean, I just think as somebody who likes to watch dynamic, strong basketball, I think that we're still seeing that. Although we're not getting as many upsets, to those who just watch basketball and just like to root for the underdog, sure, I could understand that perspective, but personally, I kind of like watching these really, really strong teams just get to the end, and I think it's about to get really interesting because now we're taking the number ones, who are the number ones for a reason because they have the best players right now. They're playing the best right now, and I just think that it's about to get really, really interesting, and I'm excited to see where this kind of Final Four ends up for us.
Yeah, exactly. Ashton, what are your thoughts on the last 4 Final Four teams? Obviously, you said Duke is an underdog playing against Houston in that first Final Four game. Obviously, Houston is just coming off an unbelievable season, only having 8 wins to their name this whole entire year. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts, I think, well, hear me out. I think Auburn is going to win it all. I
believe that. The SEC has been such a strong conference.
Yeah, I think Auburn's going to win it. Or maybe Florida, I don't know. But I think Auburn would probably do have a chance to win it, I guess. I would see Auburn and Duke in the championship. I want to see that. That'd be a great game. Because, Duke, they have a lot of good players. So does Auburn. Because I saw one game when I was on the weekend, I forget what his name is. It's like a big guy. They fell down, moved his hand and his leg.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was disgusting. But I did like I do like the Final Four now. I think it's really interesting so far but the same thing with the Cinderella stories and stuff. I feel like we're not seeing that more. So.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm going to go off of just saying these Cinderella stories. It's just about wanting to win the game. These teams like Houston's, the Dukes, the Auburns, and the Floridas, the teams they recruit so well. And these players are now buying into these systems. They're buying into winning a championship. They're giving up their personal beliefs and their egos to win this championship. And I think that's a main reason why these top 4 teams are so good this year is because they're buying into all these systems. They're buying into the coaches' words and their words of wisdom, and it's working out really well for them. So it's going to be a great Final Four for sure. Now we're going to be turning our focus towards the women's tournament. 3 number 1 seeds have reached the Final Four, including the Texas Longhorns, and Vela Van Lith's return to the Final Four with an 11-point victory, including the UCLA Bruins beating the Tigers of LSU, and Dawn Staley leading her squad to her 6th Final Four appearance in her career. But sadly, the USC Trojans were left out of the party as Paige Buchers and the UConn Huskies take the lead and never looked back, securing their spot in the Final Four. Ashton, who do you think has the best chance in winning the national championship?
For the women's league, I'll probably say the UConn, probably. I think UConn. I know that would be a shock with everybody. But I think they're a fast-paced team, which I think they're very fast-paced. I think they're faster. But I know the Mets couldn't do it, but I'm a UConn fan of the Mets. But I do like UConn over time because they had some good players like the men's and the women's. I'm not against the women, but I do think that the women have some really good teams like the Texas Longhorns. I've seen them play. They've been doing really well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, a couple of great teams and a couple of, 3 of the number 1 seeds in the tournament, again, just coming out and competing. Especially, like you said, UConn. Yeah. UConn is just coached by an unbelievable coach, and Gino is just such a great guy and a great leader for such an amazing group, for an amazing team like that. It's obviously so tough to not rule them out every single year of the tournament. What do you think about that, Bailey? I
am a huge college women's basketball fan. Personally, I was sad to watch my LSU Tigers go down. I am an LSU Flau'jae Johnson Angel Reese fan through and through, which I know is fairly controversial. But I love how LSU plays. But UCLA just outplay them, especially in the second quarter. I saw that a lot in the second quarter. They were kind of able to come. LSU was able to come back a little bit towards the end, but even then, it really wasn't enough. I think it might be South Carolina. I think that they have Aaliyah Boston, who's just really, she has a lot of size, she has a lot of power, a lot of speed. She's really on the right track with that, but I do think that UConn and Paige Buchers and just that entire team is so quick. they're so quick on their feet. Their plays are lightning fast that I think that I would love to see a final where it's like South Carolina, UConn.
I think, yeah,
vibes.
definitely.
I would love to. I think it'd be such an interesting game.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so interesting because we're really seeing evolution in how college basketball, both on the men and women's side, changes so much by the players that they have. Because like obviously last year this time we're looking at Caitlin Clark, we're looking at Angel Reese, we're looking at some of these players who are now off into the WNBA. We're really seeing some of these other teams who had those younger players who we were like, ooh, they could do something. Now they're rising to the occasion, and I'm really excited to see kind of that evolution of women's basketball that we're seeing right before our eyes right now.
Yeah, of course. You know, like you just nailed it right on the head there. Obviously, so many, that UConn team is just so quick. They're so fast in transition. They get the ball, they make 2-3 quick passes, they're already down the court. But yeah, like you said, women's basketball has been growing exponentially over the last 2 years with the likes of, like you said, Caitlin Clark, and obviously like Paige Buckers, like this year, she's such an important piece of that UConn team. Anything's possible, and I think Gino's going to get another one this year, but it's going to be a great Final Four for both the men's and the women's. We are now going to send it over to Dylan Sheilds for an update in Marauder Athletics. Dylan, how's the Marauder Athletics looking?
Thanks, Theo. Millersville's baseball team is once again the highlight this week, winning 14 of their last 15 games. They won 3 of their 4 games this weekend, taking their record to 21-4 overall. They fell to Shippensburg in the first game of a doubleheader last Saturday, 10-12, but they came back in Game 2, winning 6-2. We'll see them back in Cooper Field this week, facing off against Bloomsburg this upcoming Thursday. Both the men's and women's tennis teams competed against Frostburg on Saturday. And while the men just couldn't pull it off, the women dominated with a 7-0 win and came close to beating East Strasburg in a back-and-forth game on Sunday, but eventually came up just short. The women's lacrosse team took another devastating blow this weekend with the Kutztown Golden Bears, taking home a 20-12 victory over the Marauders. This puts them at a 6-3 record overall and just 2-3 in the PSAC Eastern Conference. 4 women from Millersville swim team were just named CSC Academic All-District this morning. Leah Eckert, Jane McClellan, Jordan Plemple, and Claire Weaver were given the honor for maintaining a minimum 3.5 GPA, as well as competing in 5 competitions or finishing in the top 8 at a conference meet. Congratulations to them all. Now we're going to send it back to the desk to talk about the start of the baseball season. Theo?
Thanks, Dylan. The MLB regular season has begun at full strength, with the Yankees and their torpedo bats being the talk of the town in their opening series against the Brewers. The Yankees scored 32 runs in the last 2 games, breaking their franchise record with 9 home runs in a game, with Aaron Judge hitting 3 of them. Other players around the league, including the Phillies' Alec Boehm, Cincinnati's Ellie De La Cruz, and Baltimore's Adley Rutschman, have adopted the new bat design. Bailey, I don't like this torpedo name. I don't like people calling them the torpedo, but I mean, obviously, do you think they'll be the new norm, or do you think it's just going to become nothing in the next couple of months?
I mean, I think we're going to have to see. I think it's such an interesting concept where we've kind of seen like slight alterations in the bat before, but we haven't seen something as big as this where we're literally moving the sweet spot of the bat literally down to where they're making contact.
Exactly.
Anyway. It's such a new concept that I'm going to be curious to see where it goes. I'm a big O's fan, and I love Adley Rutschman, so I was excited to see him get his, first home run of the season on his first at bat. I was really excited.
Without
to see that.
using a torpedo bat, mind you. Without using.
That was without it.
Yeah,
making that clear. So I don't know if it's just going to be the skill of these players or if it's the bats. I think that time's going to tell if these bats are really making the difference or if it's just the players are better right now.
Obviously,
I think that as the season goes along, we're going to see players. I think we're going to see a lot of them going back and forth. I don't think there's going to be. There might be a few who stick with one, go throughout the entire thing, but I'm really excited to see what happens. I just think that we really don't know because we haven't had a lot of time with them yet. So I'm excited to see what happens, but I don't even have a good prediction.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's only been 2-3 games people have been using these bats, but honestly, in all reality, it's good. It's good for the league. In my opinion, everybody was like, oh, the Yankees were the first team to use it. Good. The first team was the Yankees. All right, the Yankees are unbelievable, yet Aaron Judge didn't use one. So I'm going to put that out there. But players like Goldschmidt and Cody Bellinger obviously using these bats as just a way to just bounce the offense back. The last 2 to 3 years, all the MLB is all about, being not defensive anymore, beating and the pitchers, like banning the shift, so get more runs on the board. Like that's what the MLB has been looking for. The MLB has been looking for a way to combat better pitching, better velocities, better breaking speeds, better breaks, the distances. But that's what they've been looking for all these years. They've been looking for ways to beat the pitchers, and the pitchers have every single advantage known to man out there, according to analytics and just the way of studying each batter and their tendencies are. The pitchers are at the biggest advantage here. So, in my opinion, I think this is great for the league. I think this is a way to open up Pandora's box and say, hey, this is a way to get more offense going. This is a way to, just get more runs on the board. And who knows, maybe even teams like, say, Ellie De La Cruz and the Reds. Obviously he had a great year hitting last year, but maybe he adds that extra, say 0.50% to his name, adding an extra couple home runs, pushing the Reds places, teams like that. You never know. It's going to be a test of the time for sure. Obviously, Ashton, what do you think about these bats and how the MLB's going? I
think they're going well, but I do not like that tornado crap. Yeah. I don't like that. But my favorite would be, my favorite shortstop is actually Ellie De La Cruz.
Oh, yeah, he's a great player.
My favorite play with Ellie De La Cruz is when he hit that cycle. When he was just a rookie and he hit the cycle, I was hyped that he got that. Same thing with Weston Roach. I'm a Philly fan. So, obviously, I know Harbaugh hit his fourth home run. He smacked that one. He smacked that crap.
That's gone.
He smacked that crap. So, yeah, that was awesome. Shout out to Aaron because he's a Philly fan, which that's why he's my friend. He's a Phillies fan, and obviously, go Phils.
I believe it. I mean, yeah, this. I had so much fun watching this first weekend of baseball, and like I said, I don't think the Yankees are not going to put up more than 5 runs every single night from the. I don't know. I could be wrong though, but if you're a betting person, this is not advice. The overs smell really good. You never know. All right, so we're gonna go on the NHL. So the NHL season is wrapping up, and the push for the playoffs in the East is becoming unbelievable right now. 10 games left in the season, and 5 teams are in the Eastern Conference fighting for the last wild card spot. These teams being the New York Rangers, the New York Islanders, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Montreal Canadiens, and finally the Detroit Red Wings. The race for the Stanley Cup playoffs has just been unbelievable so far, and it's never been closer. Who do you think, Bailey or Ashton? What are your guys' takes on this last couple of games here in the NHL?
I'm a Penguins and Flyers fan.
Teams that are just nowhere near close to those levels this year?
Yeah, they're not really well.
Actually, the Penguins are 5 points back from a playoff spot, but they're not going.
Yeah, they're not going to make it. Neither of the Flyers. I thought they were going to do it with that Australian kid. But obviously you got the Devils, you got the other NHL teams there.
The Devils are stink. They have not been good recently. I think they're about 4-10 in their last 15 games. About that, 4-10-1, just unbelievable numbers. But the East is just so bad. It's a race for who's gonna not win a playoff game. They're gonna get to the playoffs and they're gonna play the Caps in the first round, or they're gonna play the Tampa Bay Lightning, or even maybe the Toronto Maple Leafs in that first round. I don't see any of those teams scoring more than 5 goals in the whole entire series, obviously. But there's teams that could do something. I think the Columbus Blue Jackets will sneak in. The Rangers, no, they're not going to do anything. They're just an unbelievably awful team right now. The Islanders, they're not going to do anything realistically. With Patrick Waugh behind the bench in the way that Lou Lamoriello plays the game playing defensively, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to put up the offensive numbers. The Montreal Canadiens, I also think are going to be amazing, just because the atmosphere there in Montreal has just been unbelievable. There's been so many great games there, and the Bell Center's an unbelievably tough place to play at. Other than that, the Red Wings, I do not think they're going to make it. I think the Red Wings are going to struggle in these last couple of games, playing against big teams such as the Lightning, the Florida Panthers. They're going on this 5-game road trip at the end of the year. It's going to be super tough for them to win games. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it's going to be either the Montreal Canadiens or the Columbus. But what about you, Bailey? I know you're giving me.
Yeah, so I definitely think that the Blue Jackets definitely have an edge. And I kind of like what you were kind of talking about. I think it's going to, I would have to say that it's probably between them and Montreal as well. But I just want to talk about how there's certain teams that are not performing well at all.
Give me one.
The Caps. I don't think they're doing well at all. I really don't. That's my unpopular opinion. I don't think they're doing. Go ahead.
What do you mean? The Caps are first place in the league by several points.
So I think that they're playing good in comparison to the rest of the league right now.
But you don't think they're going to get into the playoffs and win games? And
I think that they're going to struggle in the playoffs. I'm not going to lie. That's my unpopular opinion on that. I think they're going to struggle, and I'm a Caps fan. And I'm saying that as a Caps fan.
Okay.
I think they're going to struggle. I think that they're not playing to the best of their ability right now, and if they're able to capitalize on the players that they have on the ice, I feel like that they might do okay, especially if they're in like a power play kind of situation. They might do better than what I'm seeing. I just feel like they're just not playing as well as I was hoping. Personally, I know you very much do not agree with me.
We must be watching two different games. we must be, because every night I watch the Capitals, it's an unbelievable spectacle. Spencer Carberry has just put together an unbelievable team, and the way that this team is playing and the way that they've just been meshing together and gelling together so well has been awesome to watch. And with the addition of Ryan Leonard coming in after losing him, getting him from Boston College, he is going to be a stud out there. And I do think Ovi is going to get to the goal record. I think he is going to get 4 more goals this season and beat Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal record and be #1 of all time.
Okay.
But I don't see them not winning the Cup this year. It's going to be Washington. It's going to be Florida in the Cup and going to be in the Eastern Conference Final. It's going to be those two teams. I don't think the Jets are going to make it far. I think it's going to be Stars and the LA Kings in the Western Conference Final this year. The Kings are an unbelievable team. Edmonton is not beating them in the first round for the 4th year in a row, however that may be. So bring back 1 versus 8. If anybody knows, NHL used to be playoff format 1 through 8, where the top team in the West played the bottom team in the West, and they don't do that anymore. But
that's fair.
Gary Bettman, he'll never be listening to this, but bring back 1 versus 8. Obviously, but it's just, it's been a crazy season, obviously, with 6 games left, more than, there's so much more to play for. Every game matters for those teams, and it's going to be a great end of the season, in my opinion. Now we are transitioning over to the college ice hockey as the Penn State Nittany Lions make their first ever Frozen Four appearance. Led by a goal by Matt DiMarsico in overtime to beat UConn 3-1. Bailey, obviously the Penn State Nittany Lions making their first ever Frozen Four appearance. You were obviously a huge Penn State hockey fan. As I was at the game, it was an unbelievable experience and just an unreal atmosphere to be a part of. What did you think about it watching it on TV?
I was on the edge of my seat, especially going into overtime. I think we saw a lot of really, really good plays from obviously Matt DiMarsico.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was the MVP of that game for taking that overtime. But I will say that Aiden Fink, JJ Webush, Sergeyev, I think that they played extremely well. Their passing, they're able to really just play the ice in a way.
Exactly.
I think they really outskated them, and of course they got tired at the end, which is I think kind of why we weren't able to see like that 3-2 win in time, and we had to go to overtime, because I think they did have a few chances towards the end that they didn't go very well. But the first chance in overtime that they had was really whenever freshman Charlie Serrato, they had they had the shot that was ended up being blocked or whatever, but I still think that kind of lit a fire under them. Like after that miss, I kind of saw like a little extra energy pop out from Penn State, and I was just really excited watching it. I followed every step of it. I know I had a friend who was there. I was getting texts from her about the entire game, but yeah, no, it was really just a great game. There was a lot of great play on the ice, and I'm just excited to see them making history right now. I want to see how far they're gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, it was just such a great hockey game to be a part of and such a great atmosphere to be in. Do I think they're going to beat Boston University? No. Sorry, no. Unless I'm wrong, like we were talking about earlier, all these Cinderella teams and all, it's one to hope for. I mean, they've been playing great hockey these last 2 months. But even before the tournament, they were beating Big Ten teams left and right. Michigan, they beat Michigan State a couple of times. They even beat Minnesota a couple of times last year. But and Aiden Fink is up for the Hobie Baker Award. There's such a great team, and there's such a great atmosphere and such a good vibe going around the team that you never know. They could come out and then they could beat Boston University, and who knows? And then they're going to get smacked by Denver in the final. But honestly, in my opinion, Denver's winning the national championship. Don't quote me. Who do you think is going to win hockey national championship, Ashton?
I think it's going to be Penn State.
Okay. Realistically, though, do you think that they could beat a Boston University team who's been to the final, the Frozen Four, basically the last 10 years in a row, beating these Boston teams? I don't see it ever happening.
I think it's going to happen. I don't know. I like to see the Cinderella story happen. I think Penn State make it. I know Zach's a big Penn State fan. My uncle's a big Penn State fan. I'll tell you a story at the game.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and I do really want Penn State to move on. And I'm just gonna say this: we are
not beating Boston University. That's for sure.
They're beating Boston University, guys. Come on.
That's good.
But I mean, like talking about college hockey, obviously there was a lot of those beginning games in those regional semis were just upsets. Cornell beating Michigan State, and then now Boston University beating. I mean, it's just so crazy. Like I think NCAA hockey has been exponentially better than basketball this year because I don't know. I kid you not. Last week on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I watched all of the college hockey games, and I was so enjoying them. They were great hockey, and obviously going to that game Sunday, watching Penn State go to the Frozen Four, it was such a crazy experience and such a great atmosphere to be a part of. I don't know. I have this gut feeling that they are really, really going to piggyback off of this, and they're really, I don't think they're going to beat Boston University, but they can. I never said
you can't.
Never say never.
I will say where we're losing the kind of what we were talking about, where we're losing the energy and the excitement that a lot of people find from college basketball. I feel like we're getting that in hockey. So we're getting more upsets. We're getting some really exciting stuff happening right now, and I think that's something to point out. We were talking about the excitement of college basketball kind of waning. I will say we're seeing a lot of that in college hockey. So if you're not a college hockey watcher, tune in, find a team you like because it's really interesting.
John Bujagross calls a great game over there. He's an unbelievable #college hockey. That's spelled CAWLIDGE, college hockey. That'll do it for this week's episode of In the Zone. From Ashton Lagos, Bailey Toporcer, Dylan Sheilds, and the entire In the Zone crew, I'm your host, Theo Vela. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time right here on In the Zone.